what is the impact of security as a business function?
Um, so there are quite many of them. The most important that comes to my mind is that security has got to do with the trust that you earn from your clients and customers. And again, this is in a way related to the security practices and the privacy principles that you follow, because these do have an impact in our digital world, and our world is becoming increasingly digital, which means that what was common for us to uh, do in the offline world has increasingly shifted to the digital world. Even the most ordinary things that we do, whether in our personal life or in our professional life, now has got a computer involved somewhere, right? And when this happens, the sheer amount of data that is being generated, whether it is meant to be generated as part of your business function or not, maybe it is being generated simply because of the fact that the migration from an offline world to an online world has happened. But in either case, the protection of this data, whether from a security point of view or from a privacy point of view, has become critical because of the fact that we have definitively entered the information age. And what used to be a matter of trust in pre-information era times was the business principles that you follow, how your business dealings are. Increasingly now that has changed over, where the focus of client and customers is that are you doing things in a manner that I can be confident that will not come back to harm me. And the most common example in this case being the increasing incident of supply chain attacks, where what ends up happening is that as a business function, let's say you are a cloud-based SaaS provider and you do not follow security practices well enough, but you have large enterprise clients. And unfortunately, maybe because there was no focus, maybe because enough attention was not given to it, but they did not conduct their security due diligence activities on you. And then you happen to be a victim of a cybersecurity attack, which led to their data being lost to the public domain. What ends up happening is you as the supplier or vendor of that application would probably not be as impacted as your client organization. And effectively, they will end up losing trust on you. And when that happens, and when that news lands up in the public domain, now other similar clients who you would target to sell to, they will not trust you either, right? So this is, I specifically spoke in the context of a B2B setup. So you can see that in the B2B space, the impact on trust is way high. But it does not mean that in the B2C space, you can afford to not uphold the trust of your customers. Eventually, they will leave, right? So that is, in my opinion, the most important impact of security as a business function, because your business cannot continue unless and until you have the trust of your clients and customers. You want new clients. You want the existing clients to buy more from you. And that works on the same age-old principle of trust. So this is by far the most important thing. The second thing would be that, see, data by itself in today's world, again, the information era thing that I'm talking about, itself holds value. And there are quite a few companies that are in fact predominantly based on the concept of data, meaning they are valuable simply because they hold data. And it is frequently the case that newer companies that are coming up, they have got such high valuation simply because of the amount of data that they have collected, which could be in the form of user base, which could be in the form of data that they have obtained through various sources, and they intend to do something with that data, something that no one has thought about it earlier. But then the foundation of their whole business is the data that they hold. Now imagine this data leaking out. Where does that company stand? So there will be a significant reduction in value for the organization. Again, if the data is not protected well, the impact of security, or rather the lack of security, will be a direct impact on the business function itself, right? So that is the second thing. Third would be competition among businesses is a very common thing, and which is why there are things such as intellectual property and patents in place, and copyrights in place. After all, what are these aspects made of? Intellectual property, patents, and copyrights, information. And when you combine it with newer age intellectual properties, they are more frequently made up of two main aspects. Either your algorithm, something that is so unique that no one else can replicate you, or the volume of information that you have collected. Again, it is not the information that you have collected by itself that may hold value, but you may have transformed it in some manner and created something new out of it, which is new information, and it becomes your intellectual property. And if your competition happens to get hold of that information, or it leaks out in the public domain, maybe through a cyber attack incident, then you will end up losing value. So again, if you have poor security and you happen to lose information that is proprietary to your organization, you lose the competitive edge, effectively meaning that your business is going to see the impact. And then the final thing that I always say is that given all of these things that I have spoken about, trust of your clients and customers, the fact that data holds value, then you have to protect your intellectual property or your copyrights and patents, which is basically made of information. Combine all of these together, and it results into this thing that if you have high security, then as primary stakeholder in your organization, maybe you are among the founders, maybe you are among the investors, you will have that peace of mind that I will not wake up tomorrow to find out in the news that there has been a major breach which has resulted in all of those problems that I just stated, right? So net result, when it comes to impact of security as a business function, security is equivalent to trust. Security of data is important because data holds value. Security of information could directly have an impact on protection of your intellectual property. And then finally, combining all of them together, your peace of mind because of the fact that these things are protected.